Hello everyone, my name is Mocha and welcome to Somi for today. So today we're going to be talking about with friends like these who needs enemies. So King Solomon had a son Rehoboam who ruled just after the death of his father. So there was a man called Jeroboam who had fled from King Solomon and returned to Israel once he heard King Solomon had died. He was hoping for mercy from the new king. So for context on the background of Jeroboam, please read 1 Kings chapter 11 verse 26 to 40. Due to time we can't go back, but Jeroboam was not favored by King Solomon. King Solomon wanted him dead. So 1 Kings chapter 12 verse 1 to 20. It's a bit long, but I'm going somewhere. And Rehoboam went to Shechem, for all Israel had gone to Shechem to make him king. So it happened when Jeroboam the son of Nebat heard it, he was still in Egypt, for he had fled from the presence of King Solomon and had been dwelling in Egypt, that they had sent and called him. Then Jeroboam and the whole assembly of Israel came and spoke to Rehoboam, saying, Your father made our yoke heavy. Now therefore lighten the burdensome service of your father, and his heavy yoke which he put on us, and we will serve you. So he said to them, Depart for 3 days, then come back to me. And the people departed. Then King Rehoboam consulted the elders who stood before his father Solomon while he still lived, and said, How do you advise me to answer these people? And they spoke to him, saying, If you'll be a servant to these people today, and serve them and answer them, and speak good words to them, then they will be your servants forever. Initially he went to the council of men who advised his father King Solomon, the wisest man who ever lived. So now notice, in as much as his father was the wisest man that ever lived, he still listened to the counsel of trusted people. Nobody is a one-stop shop of bottomless wisdom. However, he decided to do something else. Verse 8. But he rejected the advice which the elders had given him and consulted the young men he had grown up with him, who stood before him. And he said to them, What advice do you give? How should we answer this people who have spoken to me, saying, Lighten the yoke which your father put on us? Then the young men who had grown up with him spoke to him, saying, Thus you should speak to this people who have spoken to you, saying, Your father made your yoke heavy, but you make it lighter on us. Thus you shall say to them, My little finger shall be thicker than my father's waist. And now whereas my father put a heavy yoke on you, I will add to your yoke. And my father chastised you with whips, I will chastise you with scourges. Verse 12. So Jeroboam and all the people came to Rehoboam the 3rd day, as the king had directed, saying, Come back to me the 3rd day. Then the king answered the people roughly, and rejected the advice which the elders had given him. And he spoke to them according to the advice of the young men, saying, My father made your yoke heavy, but I will add to your yoke. My father chastised you with whips, but I will chastise you with scourges. Some versions say scorpions. So the king did not listen to the people. For the turn of events was from the Lord, that he might fulfill his word, which the Lord has spoken by Ahijah the Shilonite to Jeroboam the son of Nebat. The advice he received from his friends, who knew nothing about politics, they didn't have any wisdom, and they advised him the total opposite of his father's former advisors. He could have prayed to seek the will of God as his father did and grandfather David before him. He wanted to prove a point and did things differently. Proverbs chapter 13 verse 20 says, Walk with the wise and become wise. Associate with fools and get in trouble. If he had listened to the elders who advised his father, he might have reigned longer. His friends were catalysts in fulfilling a prophecy that Israel will no longer be a part of the house of David. Don't let your ill-advised bad decisions accelerate a negative prophecy about your destiny and legacy. Remember, King Solomon worshipped idols. That's the reason why God was taking away the nation of Israel from the house of David. That's the prophecy that was given. Verse 16. Now when all Israel saw that the king did not listen to them, the people answered the king, saying, What share have we in David? We have no inheritance in the son of Jesse. To your tents, O Israel. Now see to your own house, O David. When you make a foolish decision from the advice of foolish friends, at the end of the day, it's your name, your reputation, and destiny that's at stake. We do not know the names of these friends, but we know that Rehoboam's legacy, that he was the king that led Israel to rebel against the house of David. Verse 16. So Israel departed to their tents, but Rehoboam reigned over the children of Israel who dwelt in the cities of Judah. Then King Rehoboam sent Adoram, who was in charge of the revenue, but all Israel stoned him with stones, and he died. Therefore King Rehoboam mounted his chariot in haste to flee Jerusalem. So Israel has been in rebellion against the house of David to this day. Now it came to pass, when all Israel heard that Jeroboam had come back, they sent for him and called him to the congregation and made him king over Israel. There was none who followed the house of David, but the tribe of Judah only. The consequences of not having sound counsel can cost you everything. Don't allow yourself to fulfill negative prophecies to another person's foolishness. God said in James chapter 1 verse 5, if any of you lacks wisdom to guide him through a decision or circumstance, he is to ask of our benevolent God, who gives to everyone generously and without rebuke or blame, and it will be given to him. That's from the Amplified Version. So if you're unsure of anything, don't feel under pressure to respond. Take time to pray. Tell God, I don't know what to do. God's not shocked that you don't know what to do. Unless you're in an emergency, call service 911. There's no urgent situation that needs you to respond now. Observe how others before you have handled similar situations and look at their results. Take it upon yourself to get wise counsel and make good decisions. Your destiny, your legacy is in your hands. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.